Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Silver, $2,824 per ounce. The debt clock continues to wind up. Let's explore. That's right. It was less than 6 months ago when I posted a video about the U.S. debt clock where silver was tracked at $1,044 per ounce, and now it has climbed up more than double than that in less than 6 months. And I believe the U.S. debt is only winding up in terms of the dollar to silver ratio and the dollar to gold ratio as well. And we're going to talk about this, and before we get into that, it all stems off of this here. The U.S. national debt climbing exponentially now with all of these relief measures by the government because of states closing down due to the COVID-19 situation. We were in a world of hurt before this all started, and now we are taking it to overdrive. Now, as you know, I was for some of the relief, but I would have done it in a completely different way than the way that it was handled by our politicians, for sure. But nonetheless, I believe that it's for times like what we have seen with COVID-19, why we should not be deficit spending and increasing our national debt the way we have for all the times before. We don't have a rainy day fund. Our rainy day fund is the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, or the digitization of these dollars, and it rains every single day in the United States in the form of these dollars that are just flooding the economy. But are they flooding the economy? No, not really, because if they were, well, you'd see a dollar collapse, even, I believe, as other nations are doing some of the same thing. But it was recently that there was a stimulus measure passed, and really it was a relief measure that included $1,200 checks for every taxpayer, but it also included money for businesses and various other different ways. And that was an over $2 trillion measure. Plus, you add on other things, and the Federal Reserve printing, and we're upwards of $5, $6, $7, $8 trillion during the course of this time, if you include the repurchase agreements and, of course, the quantitative easing round 4 that we're seeing, which is essentially to infinity. And now we are on the heels of the House passing another $3 trillion for every person in the United States, whether they're legal or not, and other measures for first responders and the like, and other things that are snuck into that bill, which would be a great, horrible, and yes, imagine those two words together, but it would be a bad thing for our economic situation as a nation, as if what we've already done isn't. It's crazy. One way to measure this is the federal debt to GDP ratio. Back in 1960, you can see here that it was 52.89%. And then in 1980, it actually had went down, and then in 2000, it had gone up above what it was in 1960. And now, with the coronavirus situation we've got going on, it is now 118.52%. So we're in a spiraling downwards. But how long can we do this for? Well, as long as there is faith in the dollar, as long as fiat designation means something. And right now, with the dollar gaining strength, at around the dollar index at 100 plus to 1, well, you're going to see that continue. They can do it as long as they can do it. And it will work until it doesn't. And that is really the bottom line here. But because of that, we have to take a look at this dollar to silver ratio. And this is something you've seen me, as I mentioned. I did a video about it about 6 months ago, a little less than 6 months ago, about the dollar to silver ratio and what it means. And a point of clarification, as I've said in every single one of those videos, this does not mean that silver is supposed to be $2,824 per ounce. No, this is even something much more deeper, has a much deeper meaning than that. Because what it measures is a year-over-year increase in the U.S. M2 money supply divided by the yearly world production of silver in ounces. And to me, that means a whole lot more than just what the silver price should be. This tells us that silver, which is money, make no mistake, silver is money. Now, it is what I refer to as hibernating money, but for millennia, silver has been used as money, and I believe that just because it's not traded as currency does not make it any less money than it ever has been throughout history. And this is money that you can't print. Silver is money that you cannot print. You can mine it, and you can process the ore and purify it and refine it and put it in electronics and use it for medical purposes. You can use it to harness the energy of the sun. You can use it in all sorts of ways and matter or form, but regardless, there's only so much of it that can go around. Now, does that mean that there's not a lot of it? No, I believe there is, but it is just a little enough of silver out there that it is a precious metal. That's right. Silver is a precious metal. I know that may, if I was to say that, 9 years ago, more than likely people would laugh at me. Well, Uncle Sal, you're stating the obvious. Silver's a precious metal. Of course it is. But in these prices, where the prices of silver are at today and how it's been performing really since 2011, there are some people who really don't believe it's a precious metal anymore. But I would argue that it still is. And I think that this dollar to silver ratio is proof positive of that. Because when you have something that people have faith in, the dollar, compared to something that people have lost faith in, silver, this should recapture a little bit of your faith in silver. Because it's all about perception. Perception is reality, even if it doesn't really reflect logical sense. And the fact that they can only mine so much silver out there, but yet they can print and they can digitize dollars ad nauseum. Well, I think that tells us something about the two different entities here, the dollar and silver. And so silver, it is a fascinating metal, and it is something that I believe could change the dynamic of how we view money in the future if this continues. Even if every single government around the world utilizes and prints their money like it's going out of style, sooner or later people are going to they're going to make a shift in how they view money and how they view currency even. I mean, in Turkey, look what you're seeing that with gold. People are holding gold because of their unstable currency. Now, for many first world nations, the currencies aren't as unstable. But make no mistake, every single nation around the world, by the very nature of what they do, they are devaluing their currency by at least 2% each year. And here in the United States, with the dollar, who is the king of all currencies, they are that's what inflation is about. It is devaluing the currency by design. Silver, I believe it can not be devalued. I believe it holds a constant value. Though the price may change, the value is the perception of its historical use and and the course. And I believe you take a look at a coin such as the Morgan silver dollar, it is noted on their $1. Well, at the time that that coin was minted and utilized, that was silver. The weight of that coin was the value of $1 because of the precious metal contained therein. It was backed by the silver that that was inside of that, or that is comprised of that coin. $1 there. And I think that speaks volumes, because that same coin nowadays you probably can't buy for less than $20 out there. And so that tells you something. Now, is price not important? No, it is important. And especially if you need to sell silver for an emergency situation. You know, I talk about silver as being a hedge against economic instability, or as an insurance policy. I talk about it in every aspect with the metal itself, other than as an investment. Why? Because I don't believe money is an investment. But silver's price has fluctuated greatly, and it has been down and it has been up. In many cases, though, in the last several years now, it has been more down than up. And there's been, you can pick many different times when silver's price has not reflected inflation. That's right, it has performed worse than the level of inflation tied to it, especially if you bought it at one price and have to sell it when you take into account premiums. Well, you're behind. And that's why I say that silver is a metal as volatile as it has been in the price. Its value is in its long-term holding. And its value lies in how you buy it. And how do I think, as a stacker, would buy silver? I believe the best way to do that is through dollar cost averaging, buying more when the price is low and less when the price is up. And then when you figure out your dollar cost average for that, you should and you will, in the long run, break even. Now, you won't make money. Silver's not there to make you money, but you will break even, which means that if you account for inflation, you should do well. Now, there may be a situation where it be a little bit less or a little bit more, but generally you will come out even. Now, we're in a time where silver has been low in price, and some would say this is a bargain. Some say anything under $20 is a bargain, and they're buying at that price, especially where we have been in the past, over 21, over 32, that type of thing. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. There's a lot of different factors in there, but we need to take into account how silver is being mined compared to the dollar that's being printed. My view is that more than likely this is an indicator that the price will go up. And I believe that price will go up to match the value of silver. And that is what we can hope for. And that's the only thing we should hope for in terms of this metal. Not that it's going to save us, not that it's going to make us rich, not that it's even completely undervalued at this point. I don't know what that number is going to be. Some people look at this and interpret this, okay, this means, if they do the math right, they say this means we'll see $100 silver. I don't think so. I don't even think it means we'll see $50 silver, considering where the national debt is, where the deficit spending is, especially when you look at the federal deficit spending that's actual compared to what is the official. There's $1 trillion there between that. And, it's just a matter of the market, because silver does have a dual role. It has an industrial commodity type of aspect to it, as well as a monetary aspect to it. And it's going to be fighting between those two roles as we go. But even if you look at silver completely as a commodity, this number should tell you something. And I believe that it will, even if the economic activity is hastened or lessened over the couple of years because of this, where less silver is being in demand, that means less of it will be produced. They're not going to produce what they don't need. It's a contrary to popular opinion. Silver is not as cheap to produce as some may think. Even as a byproduct of other metals out there, you're still talking, a certain number, especially of low fuel costs right now. You're talking anywhere between $3, $5 to $10 an ounce if it's mined as a byproduct of other metals. For primary silver mining, it's much more expensive than that. It's probably closer to where spot price is, $14, $15 an ounce right now. But we'll see. It's all going to be very interesting to see where this goes. But this number, $2,824 per ounce, yes, indeed, it is going up. The debt clock, well, it is winding up, and it's winding up for a pitch of greater and greater debt and deficits. And I think that one way we can see this is through this model projection here for 2024. At a present pace we're going, at current rates, we will see $5,476 per ounce by the year 2024, with a national debt of $43 trillion. That should scare us all, folks. This is very concerning, and that's at the present course. And in some ways, I wonder if we're going to ever slow down this debt and deficit spending. It is monstrous. So there you have it. Post your thoughts below. My feeling is that we should hold on, buy gold and silver, and be smart with our finances. Stay out of debt. And let's not do what the government is doing. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate and share and comment and subscribe.